That's really quite annoying. Okay. Hello, I'm Sarah Rafferty, and I'm going to be doing my talk. This is my first topic blog that I did. It's how the cognitive and behavioural approaches can be applied to education. Okay, so my topics are, I'm going to look at a lot of different perspectives and how they can all be applied to education. So I was going to go through, not right now, but in my blogs, I'll go through behavioural, cognitive, developmental, social cognitive and constructivist. But hang on, but since there's 5 topics that I wanted to look at and only 4 topic blogs, I actually combined behavioural and cognitive. Oh, hang on, going in now. I combined behavioural and cognitive into this one blog, and that's what this talk's on. Okay, so we'll go through behavioural first, and what the behavioural approach, the way it can be used in education is that it can be used to change undesirable behaviours. And there's a lot of different ways it can be done. I actually did a blog on positive reinforcement in the classroom, but this time I looked at token economy and how that can be used. So token economy, as I'm sure you know, it's giving students tokens when they perform a desirable behaviour, so that behaviour is more likely to be repeated in the future. So if a child puts their hand up to answer a question instead of shouting out, then they'll be given a token, and later on they can exchange that for a reward. So it might be sweets or a day out or anything else, a good reward. Sorry. Okay, so there's research, and you'll have to forgive me for reading off, but I don't know the names off by heart. I can't even say that, come on, that's Zlomke and Zlomke. So they found that tokens increased attention in classrooms and decreased disruptive behaviours. And Magui and DePaul found that token economy had a positive effect on changing undesirable behaviours in the classroom. But there was one, Filchuk and McNeil, they suggested that more research needs to be done into the effectiveness of token economy. Okay. So there are criticisms that say that when used in the classroom, praise undermines a student's intrinsic motivation. And I've just gone into a little bit, I didn't know if everyone would know what intrinsic motivation was, because I didn't. Intrinsic motivation is motivation driven by the joy of doing something. So you're not driven by the reward, you're driven by your joy of performing that task. And it said that, a lot of research says that in the classroom, rewards actually decrease that motivation. So I'll go into a bit of that research now. Okay, Lepper, Green and Nisbet, they showed that rewards can decrease that intrinsic motivation. And if you couple that with research, I'm not going to read all their names, if you couple that with research that says students who have high intrinsic motivation are more likely to improve their skills and capabilities, then you can come to the conclusion that rewards in the classroom are actually a very bad thing. There was one from LeBlanc, which actually made me think of Joey from Friends, because his last name's LeBlanc, but it's not him. It suggests that rewards in the classroom can actually increase intrinsic motivation. So if it does increase, then obviously that suggests the exact opposite, that rewards in the classroom can be a very good thing. Okay, so that's me from the behavioural perspective, and we're going to move on to cognitive. I had to do them very shortly. There is a lot more you can say about the behavioural perspective in education, but because I was fitting the 2 perspectives into one blog, I had to go into it in shorter detail. So moving on to the cognitive perspective, something I wanted to talk about was the spaced learning effect, and that says that learning and the way to learn and remember information better is not to learn it all at once, but to revise it a couple of times over a long period of time. And so that suggests that cramming before an exam, for example, you're not going to get a lot of learning and remembering out of that because you're doing it all in one night or a couple of nights. Whereas the better way to learn would be maybe a couple of weeks. You only have to revise it a couple of times, but over that long period of time will help you remember the information better. Okay. Again, more researchers that I'm not going to read the names of. They gave students a passage of text, and they had 2 groups. One of them looked over the information, reread the passage immediately, so they read it twice, one after the other. And the other group read it once, left it for a period of time, and read it again. And they showed that the second group who left it for a period of time, they remembered the information a lot better. So that shows that leaving it over that passage of time actually increased their remembering and learning. Okay, and it's something I thought was very interesting, is that a lot of researchers have found that this effect happens all throughout your life in a variety of age groups. So Again, I'm not going to read all those researches. What happens in early infancy, childhood, adulthood and old adulthood. So I thought that had a very important implication, that this is something that needs to be seen by teachers from a very young age all until our age and even past university. If you want to remember information, then this is something you need to keep in mind even when you're an older adult. So it's all through your education. And I told you it was very short, I apologise. Are there any questions? Go on, Jack.
I think you hit a point with the whole criticism of the intrinsic motivation. I do think the kids need to learn a bit of self-discipline, because I think that once they leave the school environment, they're just kind of, like a lot of my friends back home are all unemployed. They're just not doing anything with their lives because they never have the discipline to do well in school. And so not only did they not learn in that respect, but now they have no discipline in their lives. And so do you not think that a reward system, I think, is completely out of the question, but what would you use instead to build self-discipline in school?
I think intrinsic motivation is less about discipline, but more about doing something for the joy of doing it. So maybe these people need to be taught, or not even taught, they need to find something that they actually find a lot of joy in, so then they'll be more motivated to do the task. If they find a job or an activity that they like, then that says the intrinsic motivation. It's not dependent on reward, so you wouldn't need a reward system. They'd be more motivated to go and do something if they found the joy in it. Okay. Anyone else? I've finished so early. Cheers.